He says to visit a One Blood location near you for more information.
American Red Cross officials say feeling faint or fatigued from donating blood is uncommon, but it can happen. One Blood officials say it is important to eat a meal before donating. The officials also say to make sure you eat iron-rich foods days before donating and to not go to the center on an empty stomach.
A reintroduced bill proposes a
Coming up on UCF Nightly News. The people of New York are showing their strength after terror struck the city of Manhattan this week. Hear one UCF student's reaction to the deadly attack.
Also coming up, students are at a crossroads with a crosswalk on campus, the potentially dangerous intersection that has drivers and pedestrians calling for change.
Plus, STDs are at an all-time high according to the latest numbers, what experts recommend sexually active students should do to stay healthy.
And in sports, our Knights remain undefeated, what the team is doing in preparation for tomorrow's big game against SMU.
Nightly News starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Nightly News. I'm Crystal Ruiz.
And I'm Brianna Bowles. Today is Friday, November 3rd, 2017.
The FBI continues investigating Tuesday's attack in New York that left 8 dead and 11 injured. The FBI says they located a second Uzbek man who was in contact with the suspected terrorist Sayfullo Saipov. Federal authorities charged Saipov after they say he drove a rental truck down a bike path along the Hudson River. UCF student Lanisha Barrett has family in New York, and she says she is upset that events like this keep happening.
It makes me feel upset and angry. It's just the same thing happening over and over again. And I know a lot of people who attend UCF who have been personally affected by the Pulse shooting probably feel those recurring memories of sadness.
President Trump tweeted on Wednesday that he believes Saipov should get the death penalty. New York officials say they increased police presence at transportation hubs and will have more officers during New York's marathon on Sunday.
Here on UCF's campus, pedestrians are concerned for their own safety. I noticed an intersection posing a potential threat to walkers, and while taking a closer look, found that students feel uneasy in the area. I took those concerns to traffic officials and asked why the intersection seems more dangerous than others. On a path traveled by many students daily, Nightly News found some pedestrians don't feel confident in a certain crosswalk, even when given the go. Why?
Walk sign and the light to go straight from this side turns at the same time.
Students tell me it's confusing that drivers turning from West Plaza Drive onto Gemini Boulevard get the green light at the same time walkers are signaled to cross. Both drivers and pedestrians say the conflicting lights pose a major threat. Freshman Tommy Gelman uses the crosswalk several times a week and says he's seen too many close calls to trust the light.
Every time I walk it, I wave at that car just so they know because I see it every time.
And drivers like Ivan Alvarez don't feel confident turning onto the path pedestrians are walking at the same time.
I turn and my instinct is just to keep on turning, and I right away have to slam on my brakes because I see students walking across the street.
Both struggle to decide who has the right of way. I reached out to UCF police who, in this email, confirmed that the signals both give the go at the same time, but that Florida law requires drivers to yield to pedestrians using the crosswalk. UCF PD spokeswoman Amanda Sellers says the simultaneous goes are given in an effort to avoid traffic backups in what is typically a busy intersection, one that's only expected to get busier. Now, drivers and pedestrians say this is something they run into all year, but the fact that Light Up UCF opens across the street in just 2 weeks, bringing more children and families to campus, makes them even more concerned. Police say pedestrian and driver safety is one of their top priorities. But as holiday festivities begin and more people pack the area, students say that's not enough.
I have family that comes over here and 2 little brothers that don't always pay attention.
If the lights and the pedestrian lights are going off at the same time, a kid's not going to pay attention. A kid's just going to, it's like, oh, look, it's on. I'm going to go across the street. They're not going to pay attention about the cars coming.
Some say they know it's the law, but worry others may not, so they want change, suggesting pedestrians get their own walk signal while drivers get a red light. a similar setup to the intersection in front of the Rec and Wellness Center. Or, at the very least.
Well, it's definitely the pedestrians right away, but there still should be a sign.
I reached out to UCF police again to ask whether the department plans to put up a sign or change the signal, but have not heard back. We'll keep asking and bring you any updates next week.
More information continues to surface on President Trump's campaign and possible collusion with Russia. 2 campaign associates are awaiting trial after indictments. Reporter Anna Espinoza tells us more about the investigation and how UCF students feel.
Trump's former campaign chairman Paul Manafort and his associate Richard Gates are on house arrest after being indicted on 12 felony counts. Special counsel Robert Mueller brought forth the charges. Mueller's investigating the Trump campaign and possible collusion with Russia to interfere in the 2016 election. Political science professor Aubrey Jewett says there's nothing wrong with getting dirt on a candidate from another government.
Now, it is against the law for Russia to interfere in our elections. It's also against the law for them to spend money and donate money to candidates.
Manafort and Gates are awaiting trial and face up to 15 years in prison. Trump's former policy advisor George Papadopoulos is working with Mueller as part of his plea agreement. Papadopoulos pled guilty to lying to FBI agents in this 14-page document that was filed on October 5th. However, these documents weren't available to the public until earlier this week. UCF student Kyla Lambert says she's glad there's an investigation, but she wishes there weren't secrets in the administration.
We don't know what's going on completely, and I don't think we'll ever know 100%.
Mueller was assigned to the investigation in May, and there's no telling how long the probe will last. In Orlando, Anna Espinoza, UCF Knightly News.
Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner turned in documents related to Mueller's probe. Jewett says there is no timetable for the investigation, and Mueller can go on with the investigation until he has exhausted all leads.
Puerto Ricans are still struggling with the effects of Hurricane Maria. Governor Rick Scott will be in Puerto Rico to help efforts to restore the island's power. The governor of Puerto Rico decided to cancel the contract with Whitefish Energy, the company in charge of rebuilding the power lines. The contract is under investigation. 6 weeks after the storm, more than 70% of the island remains without power. Anna Figueroa moved from Puerto Rico and applied to UCF. She says her family does not have power, but they have other concerns.
I live in the countryside, so there's rivers, but it isn't clean water. The food, they don't have like chicken or meat. They have to eat what they found.
The food and electricity is part of the reason why Figueroa decided to leave Puerto Rico and move to Orlando. She says she knew it would be a difficult transition, but she plans to get a job in order to help her family back on the island.
Sexually transmitted diseases are on the rise. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention announced last month that STD cases in 2016 were the highest in U.S. history. The majority of new diagnoses were cases of chlamydia, followed by gonorrhea and secondary syphilis. The report also showed women under 25, infants, and gay and bisexual men are at a bigger risk. Gabriel Martinez, sexual wellness coordinator at UCF, says that if it's not HIV, some people tend to ignore the dangerous STDs are.
What happens if I've given you already 3 shots this year and yet again we have to administer another one? What is the likelihood that this is going to work? So I think the misconception is because they're curable that they're not a big deal.
Martinez also recommends people who have multiple partners get checked every 90 days, and those with stable partners should get checked every 6 months. The next round of free STD screenings will be November 14th at the health center. Tiffany, we finally got a glimpse of some fall weather this week. Today felt a little warmer though. What can we look forward to for the rest of the day?
Yes, Crystal, today did feel a little warmer, and you can put away those sweaters because it is warming up. Let's take a look at our current conditions. Currently, we are at 80 degrees with the humidity at 88. Our wind direction is north going 8 miles per hour, and our chance of rain is 0. I will have more from what you can expect from our weather this weekend later in our newscast. Ladies?
Thank you, Tiffany. After the break, we're back with another weekly installment of Positively Nights. Find out what's going on locally and around the nation to put a smile on our faces.
Plus, some local students are joining together to give sweet treats for a good cause. How one local volunteer is using her battle with cancer to make a difference when we come back.
UCF students are using cupcakes to help children with cancer. This effort started at UCF and spread to other college campuses throughout the U.S. Nightly News reporter Tiffany Thompson has more on how students are helping these children.
Make a donation and grab a treat.
Just 2 short years ago, junior Manuela Mejia Correa learned how important a positive attitude was.
Well, 2 years ago I had cancer, and base camp came to my end of chemo, and they brought me like cupcakes and pizza and stuff. So ever since, I've been associated with Cupcakes for a Cure.
Mejia Correa says now she gives back by volunteering. Cupcakes for a Cure started from a group of lead scholars at UCF back in 2011 and continues to grow to other campuses in the United States. Local companies such as Four Rivers Sweets by Holly and Jimmy John's on campus donate baked goods that are sold to hungry students. The money raised through the desserts is given to the Base Camp Children's Cancer Foundation. President of Cupcakes for a Cure, Lila Westbrook, says local partnership is crucial to the cause.
It means so much to us. We love partnering with our community to keep everything local. Everything we do goes toward local pediatric patients.
Westbrook says she loves watching the community come together to help children. Volunteers said they raised $600 from auctioning off cupcakes at their last bake sale. Westbrook says the next tabling event where people can get a cupcake for a donation is scheduled for November 15th. Reporting in Orlando, Tiffany Thompson, UCF Nightly News.
Organization officials also say they have another event scheduled for November 10th. For more information on how you can help the children, you can visit their Facebook page, Cupcakes for a Cure.
Well, it's been a week full of breaking news. Anna, what do you have to help brighten our spirits a little heading into the weekend?
Hello everyone, it's Friday and I'm here to give you some positive news that will get you ready for the weekend. For the first time in franchise history, the Houston Astros walked away with a World Series title. The city, which was heavily affected by Hurricane Harvey, celebrated their much-needed victory. The Astros took the title from the Dodgers in Game 7 after a 5-1 victory. The Astros weren't the only ones that got a ring. The shortstop for the Astros, Carlos Correa, proposed to girlfriend Daniela Rodriguez after winning the championship.
Daniela Rodriguez, you make me the happiest man in the world. Will you marry me? Will you marry me?
Rodriguez was Miss Texas 2016. She says she wasn't expecting the proposal, but she couldn't be happier. Also, some good news for our head coach, Scott Frost. He and his wife are expecting their first child. Frost plans to travel with the team this weekend, but is ready to leave at a moment's notice to welcome his baby. UCF had a pumpkin carving contest. Look at how awesome these pumpkins created by fellow Knights are. Ryan Turple came in first place with a pumpkin of nitro. Congrats to Ryan for winning the contest. That's all we have for this week. Let's celebrate the weekend and make it the best one yet. Back to you ladies at the desk.
Thank you, Anna. We felt some lower temperatures this week. When we come back, we'll tell you what you can expect for the weather this weekend.
Plus, how digital textbooks might be affecting the way you retain information while studying. We'll tell you what a professional recommends when we come back. Statistics show Florida teachers make less money than the country's average, but a recently proposed bill could change that for educators. TeachingDegree.org shows a Florida elementary school teacher makes $10,000 less than the average teacher in the U.S. Statistics show the average Florida teacher makes less than $48,000 a year. The new proposed bill would make an instructor's statewide minimum salary $50,000. If passed by the Florida Senate, the act will take effect July 1st, 2018.
For many students, textbooks are required for courses here at UCF. College Board's annual survey states students spend on average of $10,000 on textbooks a year, and some students are turning to digital resources as a cheaper option. But a new study states a student's memory may be affected by the type of textbook used. I spoke to a UCF professor about how students' engagements also affects students' memory.
I can remember like what pictures were there and like, okay, this information was like on the top left corner of a page.
Students can be found all over campus studying for their next exam. Freshman Brianna Doan says she likes to keep her eyes on paper rather than a computer screen.
Whereas like if it's digital, it all looks the same in my mind.
A recent study in the Journal of Experimental Education states students are better at recalling information when reading the print versus digital medium. Doan says she took a unique approach to studying after having difficulty in an online class.
And it was just hard for me to actually like remember the information, so I had to print all the pages out and then read it that way.
Psychology professor Chrysalis Wright says student engagement connects with how they recall information from the text.
Students have to find a way to put down their phone, turn off the radio, turn off the TV, and just focus on what they're reading and try to become like engulfed in the textbook, whether it's the ebook or a hard copy.
Bones says while studying, she highlights important information in the text, but doesn't use any of the resources from the chapter.
I just mainly read the textbook, and if I have questions, I'll Google it.
Bones says she will stick to textbooks when studying for exams. Wright says digital books have more resources for students, but students can create their own study guides for paper textbooks. In the end, she says it's up to the students to choose what's best for them.
The cooler weather this week was a nice relief from the hot summer weather we're so used to here in Central Florida. What can you tell us about our forecast this weekend, Tiffany?
Thanks, Bree. It looks like this weekend we can expect to have some sun in our forecast. Let's take a look at our temperatures for today. So for our highs, Orlando is at 85, Tampa is at 83, Miami's at 81, and Tallahassee and Jacksonville are between 79 and 83. For our lows, we have Orlando at 64, Miami at 73, in between 60s and late 50s throughout the rest of the state. Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. So for Saturday, we have a high of 85 and a low of 66. Sunday, we have a high of 85 and a low of 68. Monday through Wednesday, we have highs in the 80s and lows in the mid-60s with very little % chance of rain. Back to you ladies at the desk.
Thank you, Tiffany. UCF women's soccer ended the season as champions of the American Athletic Conference. Find out what they hope to accomplish as the postseason approaches.
Plus, the football team continues their quest for perfection, what Coach Scott Frost and his players are looking forward to in this week's matchup when we come back.
What's up, Knight fans? I'm Michael Kennedy, and let's take a look at what's happening in UCF sports this week. In the first edition of the College Football Playoff Rankings, the UCF Knights are number 18 despite the most recent win against Austin Peay. Scott Frost and his team are energized, hoping this will give them a boost of motivation. Scott Frost and the UCF Knights football team continue to turn heads as it stays undefeated this season at 7-0. Last Saturday, UCF rolled to a 73-33 victory over the Austin Peay Governors. Coach Frost said he's impressed with his quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, and his performance on the gridiron.
Yeah, I thought Mackenzie played a good game. Offensively, I don't think we were at our best, but it's hard to say that when we move the ball like we did.
The Maxwell Award semifinalist leads the nation with a 72.9 completion percentage and is 14th in the country with 19 passing touchdowns. Milton finished the game 24 of 26 passing with nearly 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. UCF senior Shaquem Griffin made a lot of noise as well, and he recorded his first touchdown in a Knights uniform on a fumble recovery return for 20 yards.
My inner AK came out. So, once I kept running, I was like, I'm going to dip at the line and, maybe AK was like, we can race one day.
Next up for the UCF Knights are the SMU Mustangs in a heated conference battle. The Knights will look to continue to keep their undefeated season alive as it sits atop the East in the American Athletic Conference. Coach Frost hopes to keep the offensive explosion going against SMU. The game will air Saturday on ESPN2 at 7:15 p.m. The 7th-ranked UCF women's soccer team won its 4th regular season American Athletic Conference title after an intense matchup against rival USF. 5 UCF women's soccer players won off-season awards, including the UCF women's soccer head coach, Tiffany Roberts. And as the regular season champion, UCF will host the American Championship on its own turf. The UCF women's soccer team will face the Memphis Tigers at the UCF Soccer and Track Stadium in the semifinal round today at 7 p.m. The UCF women's volleyball team hosted the Memphis Tigers at the venue last Sunday. And at 12-12, UCF is looking to keep its season going in the right direction after a conference win. With the young UCF Knights team, many of the young players look to redshirt senior Kia Bright for her leadership. Bright carried most of the burden the entire game and finished with 17 kills and a hitting percentage of .410. Today, the Knights will take on the Cincinnati Bearcats in Ohio. Todd DeNages, the UCF volleyball head coach, looks to keep his team focused and mentally prepared so the team can keep its momentum from last week. That's all the time we have for sports. Back to you, ladies.
Thank you, Michael. Well, that's all the time we have for right now. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can always keep up with us during the week on our website, nightlynews.ucf.edu.
And if you've got a story idea you want us to know about, send it our way. You can reach us at nightlynews@ucf.edu. Thanks for watching and have a good day.